Hello.
Hello.
How are you
Okay, wait.
doing?
I'm good. Just want to make sure that there's no delays or anything. Are we good?
We're good. It looks like we're
Okay.
good. Yeah.
All right, cool. And I'm
Happy
gonna
Friday
see.
to you.
Happy Friday. Thank you so much for having me.
No,
Let me
thank
turn my
you.
AirPods up over here, make sure I can hear you.
Yeah, let
And
me turn
then,
everything up. Okay. So I was telling everyone that Melanin Vibes is just a show that I created to talk to women of color about emotional and mental health issues and just kind of, show our viewers what it looks like to be a mover and shaker and still be balanced and manage everything. So welcome, Miss Ciera Payton,
yes.
actress extraordinaire.
Oh, thank you.
How are you doing on this Friday?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. It's been a really busy week, but definitely can't complain. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I
Let's
think that
see.
these topics are just very, very important to talk about,
Hmm.
especially in our community. So glad to be here.
That's good. And so we like to start the show off with something called Thinking Baps Are Thankful. And Baps, for those who don't know, are Black American princesses, which we are. So
Mhm.
tell us, what is something you're thankful for today?
Ooh, oh my gosh, just so much. I mean, you know, I'm gonna get a little spiritual here, so I hope y'all are
Go
okay with
ahead.
that.
That is totally
Uh,
fine with that.
it's just I over the last couple months definitely had like some challenges, but like I don't know, it's something this week just it just made me reminded me just how good God is and
Hmm.
just to just be grateful for so many things. It's hard to like get into specifics, but it's just just simple things of just like being able to wake up and having a roof over my head,
Yes.
and just seeing people support of the craft that I do and everything. It's just felt like this week like a fog has been lifted, and I just I took a walk today and
Oh,
was just
well,
having a
thank God
little,
for that.
yeah, I was just having a little conversation with God and just was like, God, thank you so much, just for
Hmm.
everything. So,
Yeah, his
you know,
faithfulness. Again,
yeah,
I agree. I concur. I'm thankful
yeah,
for his faithfulness on this week as well. So, you are an actress. I've got a question for you. When
hmm.
did you know that you wanted to be an actress?
Oh man, wow. Ooh, it's really funny. And it's like I get asked this question sometimes, and I feel like it changes all the time. But when I think back to like when I was a little girl, and I was just very quiet and very reserved and like introverted.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to go move to New Orleans to go be with my dad, um, I don't know, like that side of my family just like it's so vibrant, and like they're from New Orleans, so it's like all of that flavor and culture and everything. And I think like that just kind of rubbed off on me.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my Aunt Peanut had bought me a karaoke machine when I was 8 years old. And I was just obsessed with like every Disney movie that was out at the time. And something about that karaoke machine just like made me just come to life,
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't like quiet anymore. I was like constantly on that thing, so much so where like my nana, she would have to like beg me to go to sleep, and get off of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like that was the seed that got planted. And then later on, when I was in high school, I was going to a performing arts high school called New Orleans Center for Creative Arts. And I was in a really unique situation to where I had to graduate a year early from there. And so I had this like kind of free year because I still had to do like two more credits before I could go to college.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a school called North Carolina School of the Arts, which is now University of North Carolina School of the Arts, that had a senior year high school program.
Oh,
And so I kind of
nice.
qualified to do that, even though I had already graduated, but I qualified to do that. And so I got in and I went there, and I just think that that is when I really was like, all right, this is something I really want to do, like I'm now at a college campus, I'm studying this stuff, 18 hours out of the day. I enjoy it. It feeds my soul. Like I just think that this is the thing to do. And but I was still a little hesitant about it. And so when it came time to apply for college, I was applying to be an architect. And so I was like applying to all these different colleges to double major in both architecture and acting.
Okay.
And it was really interesting because the scale kind of tipped over to where like all of the schools that had like the double major programs, I either didn't get into them or like I got into one and not the other. But then all the schools that had like the fine arts programs, I got into like, I don't know, maybe 85, 89% of them. And so
So that was a sign.
I think I'm gonna skip on the architect side and just go with the acting side. So
That's
that was pretty
good.
much it. Yeah.
Now, I mean, being an actress, I mean, hats off to you because I've told people like I can't do it because of that rejection factor. How do you handle that rejection? Because
Ooh.
we all know, like every role, of course, you're getting roles like that. We love seeing you, but I'm sure there are some things that you've gone in for that you didn't get. How do you, pick yourself back up from that?
You know, each job is so, each audition is so different, right?
Hmm.
Um, and it, I don't have a real solid answer, solid formula, for it because there are times, even now where I am, like just in my career, like the rejection is just hard. It's
Right.
so, it could be, for me, I could say sometimes it's like emotionally paralyzing
Hmm.
sometimes. And then sometimes the way the rejection is delivered, it's like, dang, did y'all have to say it like that? I can't change the way I look, like dang. But you know, for me, generally it's just about self-care
Hmm.
and in the sense of like, you know, go ahead and take the punch, Sierra, like be sad about it, mourn that you didn't get it, but also remember that at the end of the day, what's for you is what's for you. And I try to keep
Yes.
that in mind every single time. I mean, I've had roles where, now people will come back to me later on, after I've booked it or whatever and be like, they didn't want you for this role. Like they were fighting hard for you not to have it, so and so or whatever. But for some reason, like you end up getting the role. And so when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, okay, I know that like, first of all, like no weapon formed against me will prosper. And
That's
second of
right.
all, like what's for me is for me.
Hmm.
And so if I didn't get a role that I was like super, super crazy about, I'll give myself a day or two to just like kind of mourn it, be upset about it, but also just know that like that role is going to the rightful person, the person that is supposed to be playing that role, and that what's for me is for me and it's going to come. And there's a reason why I need to have this downtime or not be working on that project. And
Yeah.
it's just trying to keep that perspective. And it's always easier said than done. I mean, I can tell you there have been times where I have laid up on the couch boo-hooing, and all of that. But I just try to come back to center, just and just try to have a good wide perspective on
Hmm.
all of it, and just know that like it's not the end all be all because somebody said no, or somebody said I was too tall, or I wasn't tall enough, or I didn't have the right look or features, or blah blah
Right.
blah blah blah, or I didn't have enough credits, or I'm not this. Like people can say whatever they want, but what's meant for me is meant for me, and I'm gonna stay focused on that.
Yeah, and I think that's something that everybody can take in their lives, like regardless of if they're in entertainment or not. Just like what's for you is for you, and it's so difficult. Like you said, it's easier said than done. But I mean, if it's for you, it's gonna happen, and if it's not for you, it's kind of like okay, just you gotta let it go. Take that punch and just keep on moving, and know that better is on the way. Like something better is
Hmm.
coming for you. So what about directing? Can we see you behind the camera at all anytime soon? Like, how do you feel about directing?
Oh, I would love to direct. It's something that I feel like is such an intimidating process, but it's
Hmm.
so funny because, throughout my life, a lot of my side jobs that I've had have been, being a teaching artist. And so I end up directing like student films or,
Right.
plays and productions. And it's something, I always felt like I was a really strong producer, and I having that experience, I definitely think that I, would be a very strong director as well, in the good sense, like
Hmm.
just, and it's so funny even now whenever I'm on set as an actress, like I just have this, like, I can see in my blinders and my peripheral, I'm like, oh, that thing's about to fall, but I'm so, like, it's like,
You
or
see the big picture. You
I
can
can,
see all
and
of it.
I've been on some sets in the past where I'd be like wanting to like get in and say things, and it's like you got to stay in your lane. You got to know what you're there doing, and so anyway, I just say all that to say that I definitely feel like I have a director's eye. I know for sure that I have a producer's eye, and
Hmm.
will love to tackle that and put those hats on eventually. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I wrote that in my notes with a star on it because I was like, I read your credits and I'm like, oh, she hasn't directed anything. What's going? We got to get you behind that camera.
Hey,
We got
I
to
would
get you
love
behind the
to.
camera. And you do have some writing credits, so I mean, there you go. Just write your own short film and get to it.
Yeah.
So with all of this going on, I mean, you've got a lot going on right now. How do you stay grounded?
Um, the main thing is, obviously, like just knowing where you come from and really honing those values. But I always say the big thing is like get out ahead of it,
Hmm.
early on. And what I mean by that is like, yeah, in the midst of the storm and while things are on fire and, you know, it's hectic, you can't, that's not where you start saying, oh, I'm going to meditate right now. Like, I mean, you can,
Right.
but it's going to be a little bit more challenging. And
Hmm.
so, um, years ago, I just started taking up meditation, and, I wake up every morning. That's the first thing I do. In the evening, I also meditate as well. And that's what I mean by getting out ahead of it. If you can start implementing daily practices that help to
Yes.
just keep you grounded and help to keep you anchored, that's going to be key when the building's burning down, or when the sadness wants to kind of creep in and stuff. It's like
Hmm.
you start creating your little daily rituals and traditions that are going to be even more solidified during the hard times. And so that's just a lot of what my daily routine is I meditate, I try to work out, and that is not easy, but just getting the body active and moving, definitely just helps to, you know, keep me sane,
Right.
and just, keep exercising my faith as much as possible, I mean, pray and
That's a key one right
um
there.
yeah, and it's not so much of like praying like to get something all the time, but it's just like praying in gratitude and appreciation
Yes.
for where I
Yes.
am and what I have and the journey that, lies ahead. And so, those things for me, I feel like just help to keep just life in perspective, and another big thing for me too, what I've been exploring over the last year, and I think really what triggered it was COVID, all the pandemic stuff, is just, like we need, oh, we need, I know we need to be connected to each other via social media, but also it's just
Hmm.
like be mindful of what you're taking in on social media. And I didn't realize what I was consuming, you know, uh, for so long
Hmm.
via, with social media and the news and stuff. And
Right.
so I'm just like an avid believer in trying to like limit that usage and
Hmm.
not take in so much, because I think like there's just so much out there that can spark so much anger and fear and competition and jealousy and insecurity, that and that's what it's put there for. And so
Right.
I just feel like in general,
Yeah, you
limit
do.
that use of being in everybody's business.
Yeah, you have to
So
be mindful. You have to definitely be mindful. And I'm so glad because, we do talk about different holistic practices, and you just ran down your list of your favorite ones that you do. So I don't have to ask you that question at all. But it is something that you do have to put in the work. And I think that's a lot of people don't realize that like it is a practice. They call it practice for a reason. And so you have to put in work. And once you start doing it, I've noticed that I can tell when I haven't done it, when I haven't
Mm,
meditated, when I'm not praying as I usually do, or I'm not exercising. Like I'm a little snappier, or, things
yeah.
frustrate me a little bit, easier, things like that. So I'm glad that you mentioned that you've got to make sure that you put that into a daily practice. That's a
Yeah.
big thing. So
Yep.
we're gonna move into a next category, but I want
Okay.
to know, what advice would you give to young women, not necessarily going into acting, but just young women that are like trying to live their life out loud and, be in their own lane, like they're just trying to go and do what they feel they're called to do. What advice would you give to them, like starting out?
First of all, I would just say, like, you're not your history, you know?
That's good.
I think that's what holds us back so much as women,
Mm-hmm.
and just people in general, you
Right.
know? We're scared to take that first step. We're scared to take that leap. We're scared to, start over or start anew because all of the past conditioning and past beliefs have told us, that we're limited or that we
Mm-hmm.
can't or that it's impossible, and so I just feel like, yeah, like just let your history go and step into the new you and be bold and be
Mm-hmm.
brave. And also just know, like I also say too, like, you know, be somewhat delusional about your circumstances. Like if you wanna go for it and make a go for a goal that you're trying to achieve,
Mm-hmm.
like don't sit in the where you are in your circumstances and be like, but I'm broke, I'm poor, I'm this, I'm that. Like you gotta be delusional about it. You gotta be like, no, I'm amazing. I'm prosperous. I'm a multimillionaire. I'm a game changer. Like you got to speak to yourself,
Yes.
outside of your circumstances. And that's why I say, like, you have to be delusional about your
Mm-hmm.
circumstances, and just do your best to not carry your history with you,
Yeah.
or the history that's going to like pull you and hold you back from
Right.
the greatness that you're stepping into. And so,
Exactly.
so yeah, for any person that's just stepping out into life and everything, like, um,
Do it
do it,
scared. Yeah.
just go for it.
Yeah. That's great advice. That's great advice. In talking about you not being your past and your history, you have a foundation called the Michael's Daughters Foundation, which
Mm-hmm.
I love. Like I've read what you guys do, and you work with children of incarcerated parents and serve them in all different kinds of ways. Can you tell us a little bit more about your organization and how? I know how, but tell the viewers if they don't know how this came about.
Yeah, it's basically, and we are doing an official like launch announcement to like reintroduce the organization,
Hmm.
as a nonprofit organization, because it's basically been a arts program that I've been teaching around Los Angeles and different parts of the country for the last 9 years. And, during the pandemic, we were able to get all that paperwork solidified and now become a 501(c)(3). And so we're going to make
That's
our,
great.
our big debut before the end of the year. And
Hmm.
so yeah, I'm excited about it. But basically, you know, um, I'm from New Orleans. Growing up, especially when I was in high school, things just were a little challenging. My father had some struggles, and he ended
Hmm.
up being incarcerated throughout my high school years, and it was all for nonviolent drug offenses. And that impacted me in so many ways that I just wasn't really aware of, but I definitely think that it did, that experience kind of catered to, me wanting to go into the arts and me wanting to express myself in different ways, because outside of being on stage, I was very reserved and very shy and very quiet.
Hmm.
And and reading all the statistics and everything, it was just like, just having this thought or idea of like, you know, because of my dad's mistakes or because of the neighborhood I grew up in, like, you know, I'm already set up to fail. You know,
Mm.
like it was like so much of that messaging going on
Right.
when I was younger. But I got this job as a teaching instructor for summer camp when I was 16 years old, and it was with this organization called What Girls Know. And we were working with a lot of girls that had parents that are incarcerated, a lot of girls that were in a foster care program, and this group of girls that were from a group home. And so basically, I remember one day I went into work and I overheard some of my students talking about how they had went to go visit their dad or brother or cousin or uncle or whatever at prison recently. And I had just did that the night before. I went to go see my dad in prison.
Mm.
And so I was like just shocked because I was like, wow, you know, this is an experience that isn't just unique to me, you know? And I remember like sharing with the girls, like, oh yeah, I know where that is. Like my dad's there too, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And everybody was just like shocked, but we all like connected, you know? And like it was an arts program that I was a teacher in,
Right.
and, you know, giving them the opportunity to like put their feelings on stage. And so I kept getting jobs like that all throughout my life. And then in 2010, I wrote and produced my own one woman play called Michael's Daughter,
Mhm.
which was just highlighting and detailing what that experience was like through the prison letters between my dad and I. Because even though he was incarcerated a second time during that time, you know, he and I were just still, you know, really close. I mean, he always let me know that, you know, he loved and he cared for me, that you know, he was always, you know, sorry for the mistakes that he made, but, you know, he tried to do his best as a father.
Mhm.
And I just thought that his story was just, you know, really special and unique. And, you know, it also is just like a story of, you know, so many men in our, you know, country of just, you know, growing up in the South. You know, my dad's biracial and just kind of getting wrapped up into the prison system and,
Mhm.
you know, how that impacted him so early on in his life. And so, um, I just wanted to like honor his story, but also like tell, you know, my side of it as well. And so a lot of people responded to it. I had a lot of people that came to the plays that were from every ethnicity and every race. I mean, Asian, Black, white, Hispanic, you know, telling me that they had a similar experience as well.
Mhm.
And so I was like, wow, there's something here and I want to like continue this work. And so I got grants from the city of Los Angeles to create a summer camp and been doing that for, yeah, about 9 years now. And now we're recognized as a nonprofit organization where we could take this work globally and, you know, just
That's
serve
awesome.
communities and youth that have parents that are incarcerated. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really awesome. No, I appreciate you doing that. I know I worked as a director at Big Brothers Big Sisters, and my program
Yes.
specifically was children of incarcerated parents. And again, when
Wow.
I started reading the statistics and knowing things, like I appreciate that you offer something besides it's great to have a big brother or a big sister to come and get you, but actually having something tangible that the children and the students can come in and they can participate in and they can actually see someone who came from their same situation, and you're such a bright light. So I
Oh,
appreciate you.
thank you.
Thank you for what you are doing.